If you have already watched this introductory information, you can skip ahead no more than 10 minutes. Hello, welcome. I am predicting that Vice President Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash in St. Louis due to a bird strike into Busch Stadium. In the area code 314, it will be a burning bush, as described in Exodus 3:14, on November 27th, 2024. She will be replaced by Michelle Obama, and then Barack Obama will replace Michelle. I am predicting that former President Jimmy Carter will die on November 17th. It is predicted that President Trump will die from a heart attack on December 12th, 2024. It is also predicted that Trump's heart attack will be triggered by a directed energy weapon that will target Trump through Bluetooth technology. The components inside the pointy thing that Trump took will facilitate this, and it is believed that when Barack Obama is sitting next to Trump at Jimmy Carter's funeral, Obama will obtain Trump's Bluetooth MAC address, which will be used to target Trump with a directed energy weapon. I am predicting that dirty bombs will explode in Manhattan, New York City, and there will be a large-scale evacuation on December 16th. I am predicting that Israel will bomb Iran on December 17th. Israel will nuke and completely destroy Damascus, Syria on December 26th, 2024. It is predicted that after Kamala Harris's death in a plane crash, Joe Biden will appoint Michelle Obama as his vice president. On December 17th, the Democrat Party will use their electoral votes to make Michelle Obama the president-elect. It is predicted that on either December 22nd or 25th, Joe Biden will suffer a stroke. It is predicted that on December 26th, 2024, Joe Biden will step down and Vice President Michelle Obama will become the 47th president. It is predicted that on December 26th, Michelle Obama will appoint Barack Obama as the 51st vice president. On January 12th, 2025, Michelle Obama will step down and Barack Obama will become the 48th president. His public inauguration ceremony will be on January 20th, 2025. It is predicted that on April 20th, 2025, there will be an outbreak of monkeypox or Marburg disease or both. April 20th will be a symbolic beginning to a new pandemic. June 8th, 2025, the true Feast of Pentecost in the calendar that watches for new moons, will be the day of the resurrection rapture event. It is predicted that on June 9th, the day after the rapture, the key will open the bottomless pit and fallen angels will cross over into the earthly realm. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to the fifth trumpet judgment that is described in Revelation chapter 9, when the demonic realm collides with the earthly realm. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to demons pretending to be aliens, and it is possible that June 9th will be the day Pope Francis will announce that aliens have arrived and have made him the ambassador for the world. This will immediately give Pope Francis, the Antichrist, supreme power over governments of the world. At some point, there will be a massive Mary apparition that will deceive the masses, because all Mary apparitions in history have been demons pretending to be Mary. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to a zombie pandemic and the masses becoming demonically possessed that will be facilitated through the thing which is the mark of the Antichrist and 5G frequencies. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to the coming genocide politicide in America. I am predicting that singer-songwriter Paul Simon will die on August 1st, 2025. It is predicted that on August 6th, 2025, the historic barge that has been stuck on the rocks of the Niagara River for over 100 years will finally break free and crash over Niagara Falls. The reason for this is that Niagara Falls is Noah's flood symbolism, and the barge was involved in the most dramatic rescue in the history of Niagara Falls, symbolic of Noah's Ark. Niagara in the native language means straight, narrow way, and Niagara's Horseshoe Falls is perfectly aimed at the CN Tower in downtown Toronto, because Toronto and its tower are symbolic of the Tower of Babel. In a game of horseshoes, the object is to aim the horseshoe and throw it at the metal stick, which is why the Horseshoe Falls is perfectly aimed at the metal stick that is the CN Tower. God is communicating that as testament for those who will live in the 1,000 years of Christ's reign on earth, the geography of North America will, as a result of a massive earthquake, be divided by a body of water from the Great Lakes to the Mississippi Delta. This destruction will be judgment on America and Canada for attempting to divide God's land, Israel. When this happens, the water in the Great Lakes will spill out over southern Ontario and Toronto. I am predicting that a solar flare will erupt on the surface of the sun and send a coronal mass ejection that will hit Earth on August 13th, 2025, which will knock out America's power grid and will lead to food shortages. The hit of the coronal mass ejection, predicted for August 13th, that will knock out the power grid will also knock many planes out of the sky. I am predicting that on August 23rd, 2025, there will be a catastrophic asteroid hit of Earth, which will trigger the eruption of Yellowstone volcano and will cause the volcano in the Canary Islands to collapse into the Atlantic Ocean and send a mega tsunami towards the east coast. The asteroid will also trigger a mega landslide on Hawaii Island that will trigger a mega tsunami that will hit the west coast. It will also trigger the collapse of the Hoover Dam, which will cause a water panic in California, and many other devastating earthquakes. The day of the Lord, the second coming of Lord Jesus Christ, Judgment Day, will be on the Day of Atonement, October 1st, 2025. The date that this video is posted proves that these predictions are being made ahead of time, as do these time-stamped emails and forensic notes PDF documents. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Make a note right now of these alternative platforms that you can find me on, in case you can't find me later. All right, this very interesting video was produced just after June 27th, 2024, and hopefully you have watched another video to know how it is that God's big picture of signs works. It's a big picture, and it produces trails of signs. And the steps along the way are correct. Now, it was known that God was pointing to these dates, July 1st, in this case, this video will be talking about July 4th and July and 5th, and also July 7th. Okay, so we will be talking about 4 plus 4 days, for example, from June 26th, or rather June 27th, and that gives us July 5th. Now, July 5th was the king-related sign. That's what we were talking about. We're talking about, in this video, King James. LeBron James, his nickname is King James. God is using this theme of king, and this includes James Earl Jones, who is king symbolism, and also James Earl Carter, as explained in the other videos, who is also king symbolism. Okay, so we had a King James sign on June 27th, and anyway, July 5th was the day, as was anticipated in advance, a prophetic sign related to all of this theme. This was the day that the first Labour Prime Minister in 14 years met with King Charles right after having been elected the day before. So this was a king, and we're talking about the United Kingdom and King Charles. And it was a very big news story how it was the first prime minister to be elected in that nation in 14 years. And there is a lot going on with July 5th, which is explained in some other video. And but the thing is that Joseph in the Bible was made a king at the age of 30 years old. He was second in command, just like the prime minister is second to the king of Charles, right? And in that story of Joseph, the big thing about the story is the 14 years. I won't explain anything more than that, but that's why the Labour Prime Minister was the first in 14 years. There's so much to confirm that, but that's just, another story. So, in other words, the analysis here in this video is correct, and the analysis is what needs to be learned, because that's why God gave this analysis for July 5th, which I will explain. And also July 7th is relevant. I'll be talking about July 27th as being Revelation 9/11 Day, King Abaddon Day, 5G Day, Antichrist Day, Revelation chapter 9, Fifth Trumpet Day. So it's this big day where, basically it's Seven Thunders Day in the book of Revelation. It's this big day when the demonic realm will collide with the earthly realm. All right? Symbolic beginning of it. We had the signs that completely confirmed this. We had a Pittsfield. This was the day that Kamala Harris was in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, which wasn't known ahead of time that she would be. And this is all about the pit in Revelation chapter 9, the bottomless pit, where from the demons come. And so anyway, the point is that all of the analysis is correct, and July 27th is a step along the way in this trail to what I'm talking about, Revelation 9/11 day, the big day, symbolic beginning of what I'm talking about, and that will be 1,556 hours after this, which is the equivalent of 69 days. 6 divided by 9 is 0.666, and on and on. So it's all confirmed. 69 days later, which is also 1,656 hours later, is October 4th. That's the day it'll begin. Now, and by the way, that also includes demons pretending to be aliens. Now, 1,656 hours is relevant because this is the number. This is a period of time in the Bible, 1,656 years, that symbolizes the flood, judgment, the Noah's flood. And one of the signs received on July 27th was the swarm of dragonflies that came in from the ocean. It's symbolic of a flood. Okay, it was a viral story. It was a massive thing. I don't want to get into it, but okay, so that's the sign. So anyways, all of the analysis is correct. So enjoy this video. This is a profound video, and I'll be talking about how these dates, July 27th and July 5th, were known ahead of time, and it's very important how they were known ahead of time, and now I've just explained how they in turn connect on forward to in the big picture of signs. All right, so I just explained how Kamala Harris in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, and the dragonfly swarm sign on July 27th, which was expected in advance to be this sort of sign, because again, the theme of the demonic realm colliding with the earthly realm that is described in Revelation chapter 9 with the demons rising from the bottomless pit. I just explained how that connected with 69 days to October 4th, which also ended up being a step in the trail of signs. In fact, the reason why, by the way, one reason God was pointing to October 4th is that Revelation 10:4 is the verse that symbolizes this. It's the verse that symbolizes the seven thunders, which is symbolic of what we are talking about regarding this theme of demon day, if you will, okay? So October 4th is in turn 8 months and 5 days to this day we are talking about. What happened on October 4th is that it was announced that Barack Obama would join Kamala Harris's campaign, and that the first event Barack Obama would attend would be in Pittsburgh. Now, Pittsburgh is symbolic of what we are just talking about, with the connection from Pittsfield. Barack Obama, it was announced he would be in Pittsburgh. It's amazing. Again, it's because of the demons rising from the bottomless pit. Barack Obama is the representative of the Antichrist, King Apollyon. All right, he's also the 44th president, and Pittsburgh is associated with the number 44 through the crash of Flight 93 on 9/11 just outside of Pittsburgh, in which 44 people died. Regarding King Apollyon, in Bible prophecy, the Satan, whose representative is the Antichrist king, this is the reason for 8 months and 5 days, because there is a prophecy in Revelation chapter 17 regarding a 5th through 8th king, regarding the 5th through 8th kings, which identify the Antichrist. It's explained in other videos. I won't explain it here, how this prophecy identifies Barack Obama, the 8th king. Okay, so that's why God uses this combination of 5 and 8, in this case 8 months and 5 days, to June 9th, the date that is Revelation 9/11 day, if you will, Seven Thunders Day. The demonic realm colliding with the earthly realm, June 9th, the day after the rapture on Pentecost on June 8th. Okay, this is also 68% of a year. The name Barack Obama in simple English gematria, A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, is equal to 68. But also the reason why that is because it points to the 6th and 8th king in this parallel with the prophecy about the 5th through 8th kings. Barack Obama is the 6th and 8th king. or rather, if you will, the 6th and 8th president. In other words, there is a secondary fulfillment going on that God is demonstrating with a chronology of 7 kings, beginning with Jimmy Carter, which is why the death of Jimmy Carter is important, who was inaugurated in 77. He began this parallel of 7 kings, because the prophecy is also about 7 kings, but also a 6th and 8th king. Anyway, Barack Obama is the 6th president after Jimmy Carter, and the 8th king is the president that was, is not, and will be again, just like Barack Obama currently is. Okay, so that's why it's 68% of a calendar year from October 4th, the day it was announced that Barack Obama, which equals 68 in simple English gematria, was in the news because it was announced that he would join Kamala Harris in her campaign. His first stop would be in Pittsburgh. All right. Okay, so there you go. Now, the rest of this video is amazing. I've just now explained how it is that, July 27th, and also the July 5th date is important here. And I'm going to explain what happened on June 27th. It's all amazing. Hello. A few amazing prophetic signs occurred on June 27th, 2024, which I'll briefly explain in this video. And these include, I'll just explain it as we go, but it confirms that James Earl Jones, the voice of the Lion King and the voice of Darth Vader, will die 4 + 4 days after these signs. And it confirms what has been predicted for July 27th, 2024, the date that we could call Revelation chapter 9 day, or the 5th trumpet day of the 7 trumpets in the book of Revelation, the 5th trumpet judgment. We could call it demons pretending to be aliens day, Pope Francis day, the beginning of the Antichrist system day, and on, given what God has been communicating about this date. Well, on June 27th, King James, that's his nickname, LeBron James, the famous basketball player, goes by the nickname King James, who has won 4 NBA championships and who wears jersey number 23, which makes this a pairing of 23 and 44, because, as I will explain here, because he, in this sign, became the 4th professional athlete to play on a team with his son. All right? So that gives us 2 4s. That's what I was getting at, and that hints at the 44. Okay, and this is a typo. It should say 23. God pairs 23 and 44 together to confirm his signs, patterns, and connections. And this is how God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections works, which is only being explained on this channel. It works on the principle of second and third and multiple witnesses confirming a matter, as the Bible says is required. And this is what makes what is being explained on this channel true and not a product of one's imagination, and different and unique than everything else on the internet that claims to be an analysis of God's prophetic signs. And when we think about it, one simple way in which he would provide a second witness for us is through pairing certain numbers together, such as 23 and 44, because the 44th president is the basketball president who wore jersey number 23 in high school. Speaking of basketball, we have a basketball sign. And king also hints at the Antichrist king, the basketball president, who wore jersey 23 just like LeBron James. And that is only the beginning of the parallels between LeBron James and Barack Obama. The fact that they both wore, number 23. And LeBron James is considered to be a GOAT. There is a controversy, the debate, as to whether LeBron James or Michael Jordan are the GOATs of basketball, greatest of all time. Coincidentally, both of them wear jersey number 23. And Michael Jordan is from Chicago, which points to Barack Obama. Well, anyway, So we have with LeBron James, the King James, having won 4 NBA championships, making this sign here in which he became the 4th professional athlete to play on a team with his son, a prophetic sign that hints at 44, which pairs with the 23 that confirms that it is a sign. 4 NBA championships and the 4th athlete to play with his son. And what I mean by athlete is because we are talking about major professional sports, and only 3 other times has a father played on the same team with his son. Okay, so LeBron James's son, Bronny James, on June 27th, was selected 55th overall in the NBA draft. Bronny James played 1 year of college basketball and averaged 5 points in 5 times 5 games. Okay, so he was selected 55th, and that was after his year of college basketball in which he averaged 5 points in 5 times 5 games. In the Bible, a 30-year period is symbolic of a king. This King James sign occurred 30 days before the 5th trumpet 5G day. All right, that's why he was selected 55th on this day. 30 days, because 30 is symbolic of a king in the Bible. And we're talking about King James's son. All right, that's the confirmation. And this sign involves King James because the sign is about how they will be playing together on the same team. It's not only about Bronny James. So we have, anyway, that confirming the 30 days. And this is why he was selected 55th and averaged 5 points in 5 times 5 games before declaring eligibility, before declaring he would be in the draft, that he would forego any more college basketball. Okay, so there you have it. And so that's confirmation for 5th trumpet 5G day. And what do I mean by 5G? God is communicating that 5G frequencies will activate the mark of the Antichrist, which is inside people who have taken the mark of the Antichrist, which is the thing. And you know what I'm talking about. And this will induce the activation of the components that are in people now. It will induce demonic possession. That's where all of this is leading to. All right, King James, who has won 4 NBA championships, became the 4th athlete to play with his son 4 plus 4 days before the predicted death of James Earl Jones, who is King Symbolism. He was the voice of the Lion King. He played King Jaffe Jaffer in Coming to America. In fact, in Coming to America, which is a play on the 2 because it's the number 2, in other words, the sequel, he played a dead and dying king. He also read the audiobook James Earl Jones reads the King James Bible. And also he was the voice of Darth Vader, which is Antichrist King Symbolism. And also he was born near the birthplace of the King of Rock and Roll in northern Mississippi. All right, now, so that confirms the 4 plus 4 days, right? The 4 NBA championships and him becoming the 4th athlete to play with his son. Now, as I have explained in other videos, Jimmy Carter is also a symbol for a king. He was inaugurated in 1977, and in a secondary sub-level fulfillment of the prophecy in Revelation chapter 17 regarding the 7th and 8th kings, Jimmy Carter started this count of 7 kings, culminating in President Trump as the 7th king, but, that's not the purpose of this prophecy. It is just a clever way in which God to use this prophecy in a second way. I hope that's understood. God is the master creative artist, and he can use all kinds of symbolism and ways in which he's not. Okay, so you get the idea. It's just symbolism, okay? So Jimmy Carter started a count of 7 kings, having been inaugurated in 77, leading up to the 7th king in this particular symbolic way of Trump, who was inaugurated at the age of 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days old, 77 days before he launched 59 missiles into Syria, and 59 is the 7th super prime number, and on and on. And he won by 77 electoral votes, etc. So anyway, this sign here with King James having won 4 NBA championships and becoming the 4th athlete to play with his son 4 + 4 days before the death of James Earl Jones, who is king symbolism. This is also 4 days before the predicted death of Jimmy Carter, who is also symbolic of a king, whose death is predicted to be 4 days before the death of James Earl Jones, who is some king symbolism also. And Jimmy Carter's full name is also incidentally James Earl Carter. And we are talking about LeBron James and Bronny James. So this Bronny James, LeBron James sign, in which LeBron James became the 4th player to play with his son, is 4 days before the predicted death of James Earl Carter. And by the way, the most famous line in cinematic history is when James Earl Jones said, as Darth Vader, "I am your son," which hints at the Son of God, Lord Jesus Christ. All right. And by the way, the Antichrist king is the 44th president. That's the reason here for the 4 + 4 days before the death of James Earl Jones, who is king symbolism, 4 + 4 days after this King James sign, which I just mentioned earlier, is pointing to the Antichrist, the basketball president. King James plays for the Los Angeles, as in fallen angels, which is what the 5th trumpet is in the book of Revelation, when the key opens the bottomless pit for the fallen angels to come out of and cross over into the earthly realm. Okay, so King James plays for Los Angeles. Ken Griffey Sr. wore jersey number 30, which again is king symbolism, the number 30. When he and his son, Ken Griffey Jr., hit back-to-back home runs for Seattle, which the team plays in King County, by the way, in Los Angeles, which hints at fallen angels, on the date September 14th, 1990. Ken Griffey Jr. encouraged fans to exit the Kingdome, as in the Antichrist kingdom, after a 4.8, as in the 48th president, earthquake, because Barack Obama is predicted to become the 48th president. Earthquake hit King County in the 42nd, as in the Antichrist, state, because the number 42 is associated with the period of the Antichrist in Bible prophecy. This earthquake was exactly 5 times 5 years before the record-setting SpaceX Dragon crew splashed down on Earth, which hints at Revelation 12, fallen angels to earth, that's described in Revelation 12. The splashdown of the Dragon crew that broke the record for a number of days in space, at 84 days, they tied it at 84 days, which hints at Obama, which is equal to 84 in Hebrew gematria, and Obama was born on the date 8/4. Okay, Okay, so the date of the splashdown, which was 5 times 5 years after the earthquake, exactly, it marked, okay, May 2nd, 2021 marked the beginning of the final 42 months, which is also 1,260 days in the Bible prophecies, before Christ's second coming and his kingdom on earth. I should say his kingdom. Okay, and that's again why the connection to the earthquake in the King County in the kingdom. All right? Because it connects to the end of the Antichrist kingdom and the beginning of the kingdom of Christ at his second coming. Okay, and home run balls that are hit high and then fall back to earth are symbolic of fallen angels, which is why, again, the back-to-back home runs were hit in Los Angeles. Okay, and this home runs symbolizing fallen angels is especially true when it's in Los Angeles, as I just mentioned. And that happened again on September 14th, 1990, exactly 1,763 weeks before King James and the Los Angeles Lakers selected his son with the 55th overall pick. 1,763 is the 508th semi-prime number, and this hints at the 5th and 8th kings in prophecy in Revelation. Okay? And in this prophecy, a secondary sub-level of fulfillment of this prophecy is Barack Obama as the 8th king. Okay? But the prophecy is really, the first level of it is that the 7th king is Pope Francis, who will announce on July 27th, 2024, at the beginning of the 5th trumpet, that aliens have arrived and have made him the ambassador for the world, thus giving him instantly power over the governments of the world. It was announced on August 25th, 2023, that Bronny James had suffered a cardiac arrest when he collapsed onto the basketball court 32 days earlier. The 32nd prime number is 131. So he collapsed, I believe it was on July 23rd. I could be wrong, but anyway, it was 32 days before it. But the 32nd prime number, before the announcement that the reason why he collapsed, because it was not mentioned officially until 32 days later. But the number 32 is the 32nd prime number is 131. And that's why God uses the number 32 in his signs, which, by the way, is equal to the name Obama in simple English gematria. All right, and it's also 4 times 8, and Obama will be the 48th president. But also, the mark of the Antichrist is symbolized by this because the 32nd prime number is 131, and the 131st word in the Greek concordance of Strong's is the word blood disease, which is what a person gets after they have taken the mark of the Antichrist. Okay? August 25th, 2023 was exactly 44 weeks before it was announced that Bronny James would play with his father, King James, in Los Angeles for the Lakers. By the way, the Lakers are originally from the 32nd state, Minnesota, the land of lakes, which is why the name Lakers. They ended up moving to Los Angeles. The 44th president, Antichrist, who will enforce the mark of the Antichrist, will be thrown into the lake of fire. I should say the 44th president Antichrist, who is the basketball president. All right? Bronny James collapsed onto the basketball court exactly 29 weeks. Okay, now 29 hints at 9/11. If God were to symbolize 9/11 with two numbers, it would be 2 and 9, because 2 is 1 plus 1. And so Bronny James collapsed onto the court exactly 29 weeks, which hints at Revelation 9:11 and King Abaddon, because Revelation 9:11 is the symbolic verse of Revelation chapter 9 about the fifth trumpet and the fallen angels who are led by King Abaddon, the king of destruction. All right, so that's why the 29 weeks exactly after Damar Hamlin, the football player, collapsed onto the football field in Cincinnati while playing the Cincinnati Bengals in front of a national TV audience. All right, now the Bengals and in Cincinnati, because this hints at Rome. The city Cincinnati is named after the Society of Cincinnatus, which George Washington was a member of, and that is named after the Roman general Cincinnatus. And Cincinnati also has another connection to Rome, because in the Garden of Eden, which is a park, the name of a park in Cincinnati, there is a statue that is the symbolic statue of Rome. It's the Capitolini or the Capitoline statue. I believe I'm saying it correct, but I could be wrong. But it's the statue of the wolf that's breastfeeding a couple of baby wolves underneath it. I don't know the symbolic meaning of that, but that is the statue that symbolizes Rome. And it was donated to Cincinnati from Mussolini during his 10th year of his dictatorship. And that's why on the statue is an X. It's the Roman numeral for the number 10. But in God's signs, the letter X is symbolic of the mark of the Antichrist, which will be used to persecute Christians. And in ancient Rome, Christians were persecuted in the Colosseum. And they were persecuted with tigers and lions. Bengals are the biggest breed or species of tigers. And the Colosseum is symbolized by a football stadium. All right, and so that's why Damar Hamlin collapsed during a nationally televised Monday Night Football game while playing the Cincinnati Bengals in Cincinnati, and went to the hospital in Cincinnati, etc. And we all know why he collapsed. And he wanted to say so in an interview, but held his tongue, because you're not allowed to talk about the truth in today's totalitarian society, just like you weren't able to talk about the truth during the Mussolini totalitarian period. And a totalitarian dictatorship is different than classical dictatorships, where in a classical dictatorship, the strongman rules through fear. In a totalitarian regime, 30% of the population are hypnotized. They are hypnotized by the leader, and there is a cult going on in which they enforce their ideology, and no one is allowed to talk about anything that contradicts it. Otherwise, they are in massive trouble. Not only will they be censored, but they will be killed. Ultimately, that's what's going to happen very soon in America because of the cult of today's political left. The new totalitarian regime that is emerging, that will soon have its leader, the Antichrist. And this cult will persecute God's people through the mark of, well, it already has been persecuting God's people through the mark of the Antichrist, which is the thing in its current form. It does not need an additional something to go with it, such as an additional technology or false form of religious worship, or supposedly a new age of dispensation after supposedly all quote-unquote Christians will be raptured. In fact, one of the main reasons why most quote-unquote Christians have already taken the mark of the Antichrist is that it is judgment for this particular doctrine, dispensationalism, which is the package that free grace and Calvinism comes in, which is the Nicolaitan doctrine of our day, which Jesus said he hates and is coming to make war with the sword of his mouth on those that teach and have the works that are a product of this doctrine. And Calvinism and free grace lead to once saved, always saved. In case you don't know what Calvinism and free grace is. It's, in other words, evangelical culture. There will be those that say, well, I don't need to know about doctrine, I just love Jesus. Well, first of all, our love for the Lord is deepened with the deeper our knowledge is. But also, if you don't know doctrine, you probably do have this doctrine, which Jesus hates, because you aren't educating yourself on how the majority have the wrong doctrine, the Nicolaitan doctrine of our day, which the Lord has overwhelmingly confirmed to be what I have just said. And the prediction in this video, the purpose of it is to prove this. Believe me, I know far better than you the reason for this prediction that is from God. It is to prove the things that I have said, the controversial things, which one, the beginning of the 1,260 days, which ends on October 12th, 2024, on the day of the second coming, the Day of Atonement. That's a fact. And it will be proven when the prediction comes to pass. And this is the purpose of the prediction, to prove that this is God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections that is only being explained on this channel. And this big picture of signs, patterns, and connections confirms these things. It is the purpose of the big picture of signs, patterns, and connections is to communicate this knowledge. And I know the reason for this big picture of signs, patterns, and connections. And the other thing that it is confirming is the Nicolaitan doctrine of our day and the identity of the mark of the Antichrist. Obviously, it also confirms the identity of the Antichrist, but this should be known from Bible prophecy a long time ago. The second of the two Antichrists is Pope Francis, and it has been known for 2,000 years that the first of the two Antichrists will be a Pope, Pope Francis. Anyway, so what I was saying, and by the way, the commonly held objections that people have regarding how this couldn't be the mark of the Antichrist, although it's not necessary because the prediction will prove that you are incorrect, but the objections are answered at the end of the must-watch snake bite video on this channel. All right, now back to what I was saying here. I was talking about how the day that the father-son of the Griffeys, the day that they hit the back-to-back home runs, the father wearing number 30, symbolic of king, that day was exactly 1,763 weeks before the sign involving the son of LeBron James, Bronny James, being selected 55th overall in the draft, okay? Again, 1,763 is the 508th semi-prime number, and this hints at the 5th and 8th kings in the prophecy and Revelation. Okay, so now, I already talked, sorry, I was already down in this paragraph, sorry. I was talking about Damar Hamlin, that's right. Okay, now he, as I was saying, the reason why he collapsed in Cincinnati, I explained that. All right, now, Damar Hamlin wears number 3, and Bronny James wears number 6. which hints at 36, which is the number God uses to hint at 666, the number of the Antichrist, because it hints at 3 sixes, but also 6 times 6, and also the 36th triangular number, which in a triangle of numbers, the last number in the 36th row is 666, and 1 plus 2 plus 3 all the way up to 36 equals 666. Now, Bronny James wears number 6, which hints at 2 times 3, which hints at 23, the number that his father wears. And this sign occurred 4 plus 4 days before the predicted death of King James Earl Jones. And that's a pairing of 23 and 44, which I believed I mentioned earlier as being what God uses to confirm the signs and connections. So that's another confirmation, by the way. 30 years is symbolic of a king. This King James sign is 30 days before the Revelation 9:11 day and King Abaddon day. This will be the day of a symbolic beginning of the demonic possession of the masses. Something will happen that will symbolize this. I don't know what it will be. I'm not saying that everyone is going to become demonically possessed on the state. I'm saying this is the beginning of something. Probably Pope Francis saying that aliens have arrived and have made him the world ambassador. But somehow it will be the beginning of the Antichrist beast system. Okay? And the fifth trumpet. Demons crossing over into the earthly realm. Anyway, this demonic possession will be induced by 5G frequencies in the brain. Bronny James was selected 55th after averaging 5 points in 5 times 5 games for the Trojans. Bronny James played for the Trojans. The things, the mark of the Antichrist are the Trojan horse, as is Joe Biden and the basketball president, a Trojan horse. On this same day was the Trump-Biden debate. Okay, so on the day of this prophetic sign involving LeBron James' son, 55th after averaging 5 points over 5 times 5 games, was the Trump-Biden debate. And Biden is a Trojan horse. He is a puppet for Satan. It's quite obvious. Just for example, when he was campaigning, he had on his podium the number you could text to donate money to his campaign. It was 30303. 30303. And above it was the number 2020, because he was campaigning for 2020 president. Well, 2020 divided by 30303 is 666. All right, anyway, let's move on. That's just something to just throw out there. But just if someone who is wise and discerning can tell from a myriad of things that he has done and said that he is actually possessed in some way, I don't mean that he's not fully himself anymore, but he is definitely spirit of Antichrist. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so in the debate, the highlight was the moment when Biden had a bad stumble in his speaking, to which Trump said he could not understand Biden's last sentence, and he didn't think Biden understood it either. This moment, the highlight of the debate, the big moment, occurred at 9:11 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It clearly demonstrated that Biden has dementia, which was designed by God so that he would ultimately step down and make his old pal Barack Obama the president again. And I knew this even before the referendum in 2020. I knew that God made Biden the nominee for this purpose, for him to step down. Even before he picked his running mate, it was obvious that this would be the way that Obama would become the president again. It is through Biden being as old as he is. Because even back then, he was showing signs of dementia and was making all kinds of gaffes, which is why his handlers barely let him out of his room during the campaign. All right? And why did they do that? Because they want Biden. They don't want anyone else. They want Biden. Why do they want Biden? Because he's Barack Obama. Because he's of Barack Obama. He was his vice president. It's because the DEEP people, the DEEP state, the second government, the permanent government class, want to remain in their jobs and in power, and they're all Obama appointees. So best to have a Democrat, but even better to have someone that basically is a puppet for Obama. The Marxist, who has appointed all kinds of Marxists in his regime. Okay? That's a fact, not hyperbole. All right, regarding them being Marxists. All right, now, so anyway, the big moment regarding Biden was his gaffe, or rather his stumbling at 9:11 p.m., and it clearly pointed to his dementia, and dementia hints at demons. The word dementia hints at demons, and what I am saying here is that the demons are going to be taking control of people's brains after the things that are inside the people are activated with the 5G frequencies. That's the whole setup. That's why they took the mark of the Antichrist. It is so that their brains can be taken control of by demons. This dementia incident involving Biden's brain was a prophetic sign that is pointing to the coming demonic possession of people, especially on the left, through demons can take control of their brains, making them, in a way, zombies, which is why the Lord is using zombie symbolism in his signs to point to this too. And what do zombies crave? Brains. They crave eating brains. It's because the demons are going to be possessing people through people's brains, and the vibrations that will be induced with the 5G frequencies. The prophetic moment of the debate with trumpet, God's trumpet that he uses to trumpet and highlight his prophetic signs, was at 9:11 p.m. This was exactly 4 times 400 days, which is also 4 years, 4 months, and 4 times 4 days, after Trumpet's Oval Office speech on the CVD disease on March 11th, 2020, that ended precisely at 9:11 p.m., which was exactly 222 months after 9/11. The number 22 in God's signs is symbolic of the mark of the Antichrist. The inverse of the mark of the Antichrist is described in Ezekiel in the Bible, and it would have been a Tav mark. The Tav letter is the last and 22nd letter in the Hebrew alphabet. The mark of the Antichrist is described in the last and 22nd book out of 22 books in the Bible that have a total of 22 chapters. Also, on 9/11, God pointed to George Washington, which is explained in other videos, and George Washington was born on the date 222. Because at the founding of the nation, after his first inauguration, he went into Trinity Chapel at Ground Zero, the only building to have survived the falling debris without any damage at all to the building, and that's why today the Trinity Chapel is nicknamed the Miracle Chapel. In this chapel, Washington consecrated the nation to God, saying that if the nation were to ever turn away from God, it would lose its divine protection and blessings, which it did temporarily on 9/11 in 2001, which is why 222 months later was the CVD day, when Trump's Oval Office speech, I should say Trumpet's Oval Office speech, as in trumpeting the CVD disease, ended precisely at 9:11 p.m. 4 years and 4 days times 4 times 4 days. 4 years, 4 months, and 4 times 4 days, which is also the equivalent of 4 times 400 days before the big moment in the Trump-et debate, in which the Trojan horse made a gaffe at 9:11 p.m. because he is about to step down, making way for the Antichrist, the 44th president. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Aliens and UFOs are demons masquerading as aliens and UFOs. Most people's spiritual experiences are demonic deception, especially if they are not a true follower of Christ. In the last days, many people who claim to be a follower of Christ will have spiritual experiences that are in reality demonic. God became a man and died a horrible death at the hand of the ruler of this world, Satan, and then defeated death for you, so that you too can overcome death, which is the price that must be paid for sin. It is time to repent, which means to change one's ways and turn to God and become a disciple of Jesus. Please leave a like and upvote the video, and once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more, don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. It is essential that everyone immediately read the homepage of my website, TrumpPrediction.com. If you are watching this on the YouTube platform, please note that not all of the videos are on YouTube. You need to switch to the BitChute.com or the Odyssey.com channel. And do it now in case you aren't able to later.